Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cerebral Mantis podcast. He's a cerebral, he's a mantis, and I'm on a podcast.
You're on a podcast.
Yeah.
Are you?
So are you guys. Yeah.
What? Wait, I am?
Yeah.
Wait. This isn't just us at the psychologist?
I thought we were in a Denny's. I was wondering what that black speck was in my pancakes. I thought it was just
you're seeing the Mothman
cigarette
too?
Ashes. Because, you know, that's what they normally serve you here.
No,
that's a microphone.
That's at the Waffle House.
I mean, yeah, but Denny's is like...
Denny's is alright.
Denny's is like the franchise version.
Denny's is like two steps
Waffle House
over
is a
Waffle
franchise.
Yeah, but
Those who know, I guess.
those who know Stillwater.
I'm in the thick of it.
This podcast is fantastic. It's going to age so well. We're going to move on 5 years from now, and none of this is going to make any sense.
I can make it not make sense now.
You know what? Go ahead. I want to see your best example.
There are many advantages to being a marine biologist.
I get that one. The jelly.
Not the dolphin jelly! Shut up!
So, we want to...
I heard you had a petition
I don't.
for dolphin jelly.
That's
He may
incorrect.
have one for...
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake.
We don't have Keemstar here.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I'm getting there.
Oh, your poor hairline.
Oh, man. He's going even more Vegeta.
Kakarot, I feel like spreading misinformation online. I don't know why I feel like this, Kakarot.
No, I'm not the one with the petition. Spence is.
Spence, are we finally getting the jelly?
No.
Damn it.
This is... I want to make an unofficial petition to send a can of Four Loco USA brand, or the flavor, into orbit as an artificial satellite, just to remind the communists who won the space race.
Okay, some lucky astronaut is going to be floating around in space at one point and just find that and just rip it. I'm just saying, Four Lokos is basically like super soldier serum, okay?
Trevor, walk me through this, okay? You're an astronaut. You're doing a spacewalk in low Earth orbit, okay? You see a floating can of Four Loko.
I don't care if it breaks
somehow
the...
hasn't exploded in the pressure.
I don't care. I'm breaking the tether, and I'm floating through space endlessly. Because the power of freedom will bring me back home.
But you grabbed the Four Loko, right?
Yes.
And you're in your astronaut suit, right?
How are you going to drink it?
Okay, here's the thing. For a split second, I will be vulnerable. But I will chug it to my heart's content. And with the power the Four Lokos will bring me, I will be able to breathe in space.
I don't think you
And
can...
then I will soar towards the Earth, because Four Lokos has the power of God and anime on its side.
Listen, I'm sure it's made many a frat kid do something stupid while he was drunk that he shouldn't have been able to
Make you
survive.
jump off of buildings and do backflips unharmed.
But I will say I don't think you can drink in space.
You can't, not at least from a can, just because
Not if it's a Four Loko. It's a Four Loko. It's different.
It doesn't... There's
What?
no gravity in space. The drink won't come down to you.
Okay,
Why do
being
you think they
realistic,
take
no, I wouldn't be able to
pouches into
drink it.
space?
I think it would be a great icon for America, but realistically, I'd love to be the astronaut that finds it, drinks it, and then becomes Omni-Man.
I mean,
If you're the astronaut who finds it and drinks it, you're not Omni-Man. You're just the frat guy of the space shuttle now.
Wait, as it's floating around in space, it has cosmic
Counterpoint,
radiation.
mister. Have you had a Four Loko?
Theoretically, the Loco USA floating satellite Loco can could turn you into Superman
God.
if it absorbs enough radiation.
So it's a satellite? Is it?
No, we literally just shoot a can of Four Loco and make it an artificial satellite around the world.
So this has the same level of, like, how do I put this?
Stupidity.
Productivity as the one guy that took the like mouse or the rat that he found in his yard and he shot it out of a potato gun up into orbit. He said, "First rat to the moon, boys," and then he fires and it's just gone. It's gone. You are doing that, but with a Four Loko.
No, I want this to be official, like
Trevor,
them sending it like via NASA.
Most
Is
small
NASA a thing
rodents
anymore?
survive... NASA's still a thing. Most small rodents survive terminal velocity. I mean,
He's suffocated in space!
Okay.
Okay, to be realistic,
No,
he probably didn't make it to space.
I'm not saying I don't think a potato launcher can make escape velocity for a rat.
Okay, that motherfucker
no.
was out of frame in like half a second, okay?
what's funny?
To be fair, it was like on a 420p.
You basically couldn't
camera.
see the rat after it fired.
No, what's funny about this
That
is
should have velocity.
that he was making a joke, and it was kind of morbid, and the punchline is like he killed the rat for the punchline, right? Mm-hmm. But what the rat's perspective was is the strange giant picked him up, put him in a tube, and then launched him faster than he's ever gone in his life, high into the sky. And then he probably fell down and just walked it off like it was a Tuesday afternoon.
Can they survive the fall?
Most small rodents survive terminal velocity.
That's insane! That's the rat lord! That's the rat king, dude! He is literally him in, like, rat society.
That rat
He
gets
comes back
unlimited
to the
bitches.
rat colony.
That motherfucker's dead probably by now, but still.
Oh, absolutely.
He was him when he was alive.
But anyway, back to the Four Loko can.
So if we did that with Four Loko, I feel like Red Bull would do that with Red Bull just to promote its brand, and we'd end up with this like awful spiral of just any company that can afford to have like a satellite that's completely decorative.
I mean, they sent a...
We're just gonna have a space junk floating everywhere.
Imagine if
That'd be
our
lame as
stars
fuck.
were like ads for Amazon instead.
No, it's getting too dystopian, broski. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Like that animated sphere they got. Where is it again? Is it in my...
Las Vegas?
It's in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna turn the sun into that. I thought they'd like do something productive, like make a Dyson sphere, you know. If I swear to God, if I look up at the sun and I see Jeff Bezos looking down at me,
Hey Trevor.
I'm gonna lose my marbles. I might go a bit kooky. I might go crazy for Cocoa Puffs.
You should go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if the literal sun ever gets swapped for a projection of a man's face. But
Especially if it's fucking Bezos.
God. But in case you didn't know, Dyson spheres are a mathematic impossibility.
Those things
Unfortunately.
they go wacky.
Well, we don't have enough matter
Resources.
in our solar system.
We would have to travel outside of the solar system to
If we
get enough.
destroyed every planet and somehow turned it into steel beams, we still wouldn't have enough, like, literal matter to surround the sun that way.
The sun's just way too big. It's incomprehensibly... I mean, mathematically it is, but, like, just by
I
our
don't
pure
know.
visual...
I don't know, man. It's pretty small up in the sky.
Shut the fuck up. That's like me holding a burger.
That makes
in
so
front of
much
me.
sense. We don't build the Dyson sphere on the sun. We build the Dyson sphere down here where the sun is smaller.
The Dyson
Tommy.
sphere is only about the size of a softball.
We
It
can
makes
build a
sense.
softball-sized Dyson sphere
You're
here.
bigger than the sun right now, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dude.
That might have come off as...
No, I'm a him. I'm bigger than the sun right now.
Yeah, but I could have called you fat on accident. You're
Nah.
fatter than the sun.
Wow.
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 We're canceled now.
In the thick of it, everybody.
Those who know.
We can't keep doing this. People are just gonna click off.
No. Wait.
Viewer
They
retention.
won't kick off. They won't click off because
Hastily scrambling through notes.
Take your time. That pancake had cigarette ash in it, so...
because
Pop it
Batman
back
is
up.
basically Sherlock Holmes. That's why they won't kick us off.
Ah, yes. That is why they won't leave
They both know
immediately.
how to expertly
Solve
identify
crime.
and figure out every situation they ever find themselves in ever. It doesn't matter how convoluted it is.
It's actually about the attitude and the narrative structure. So, the narrative structure for a Sherlock Holmes
Did
story...
his parents die?
No, not that kind of narrative structure. Mostly a mystery. I think there's some explanation about his parents in a few stories, but for the most part, there's no real iconic canon Sherlock Holmes parents story. No,
We need to make one.
We need that lore.
they're basically the same character because in any given situation, they use information the reader has, but hasn't been able to apply in order to come across as very intelligent. So, like, you and I both know that the Flash is Barry Allen, right?
Yeah.
All right. So does Batman, right?
Yeah.
But Batman, understanding that the Flash is Barry Allen, knows that he's a forensic scientist and uses this to imply that, like, he's in a slightly different parallel dimension because of how he's walking, because he doesn't have the same profession in this parallel dimension, right? This is a conclusion Batman can jump to because the writers are like, Batman would notice this, apply this, and he'd be right. And this is not a conclusion anyone reading the comic could jump to because
It's so stringed along and doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
it does
piecing it together.
It does make sense.
all together.
Once
but
it's
like,
together at the
if
end.
you inserted yourself into the story and tried to piece it together yourself, it would be borderline impossible.
No, you
So-
would go
so
into
it
the
reads-
story and you'd just be like, Barry Allen, who the
I'd be
hell
like,
is Barry
those who
Allen?
know.
It reads like Batman's very intelligent. It's the same thing with Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes notices the exact shade of dust on someone's fingernails, and we're like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then Sherlock Holmes knows that person's a mortician because he identifies and understands that that's...
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, this is embalming dust. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, yes, embalming dust and not the other dust.
Just goes up to the finger. Suck. That's definitely embalming dust.
I'm
There's no
just
such
saying,
thing as embalming dust.
they're the same character. There isn't a
investigate
single
this day.
situation you can name to me that you put Batman in and Sherlock Holmes in and give them the same exact amount of information and they don't walk out of it the same exact way the other character does. Name one. Just one. They're the same character. They operate the exact same in the narrative. Sure, Sherlock Holmes doesn't have supervillains, but if he did, he'd treat them the same exact way Batman does.
He got one.
Moriarty doesn't count.
Why?
Because he's not a supervillain. He's just a villain. What's the difference? Presentation. Those who know. Moving on.
We need a counter. If this was a video podcast, we'd have to have a counter in the bottom left, and we'd be at 12 those who knows.
It'd be cinema wins.
No, they would not be wins. These are the fattest L's imaginable.
We need a little bellhop bell.
Just like the L I'm taking at trying to come up with an example, because I have no clue. Realistically, that they are the same character. It's just one's, a superhero.
Yeah, I mean, Batman is edgier. I think he knows more martial arts, but, like, there is that one time Sherlock Holmes tied a thing in a knot and then untied it. No, it was like a steel poker for, like, a fireplace. And this guy was trying to intimidate Sherlock Holmes, and he, like, was this really big, buff, burly man, and he walked up to him, and he, like, in it as an intimidation tactic, like, barely bent the thing, right? Like, it went from straight to, like, slightly crescent moon. And then Sherlock Holmes, after the guy left, Watson was telling him how he needs to be careful because that man is dangerous, and Sherlock Holmes just casually ties it into a knot, unties it, and straightens it out before putting it back.
That ain't a fucking book. That's a fucking Looney Tune. What the hell?
What the hell?
Alternative thesis: Batman
That's some fucking
and
Bugs
Sherlock
Bunny
Holmes
shit.
are both Bugs Bunny in disguise.
Honestly, I would take that. That's seriously like some Bugs Bunny shit.
Flash dies to Darkseid's laser. Batman dodges it.
I had
He
prep
saw
time.
Yeah, he saw it coming. he had the prep time,
He had prep time.
of it between Darkseid shooting the laser and it hitting him. That was the prep time.
Did you say Darkseid?
Yes.
It's Darkseid.
It is
Sorry,
Darkseid.
it's spelled weird. Okay?
Darkseid.
I never
Discombobulate.
understood it. Discount Thanos is
Discombobulate.
discount Thanos.
Danos. He is Danos now.
Dan.
It's canon. He's Dan.
I love their yogurt.
Okay,
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I think if Sherlock Holmes was fighting Darkseid, he would be the only mortal to figure out how to dodge his lasers.
I had prep time.
He loses because Batman wins through prep time. Does Sherlock Holmes win through
Yes.
prep time?
And also on the fly, which is how Batman wins half of his things too.
The bit isn't as strong with him.
People don't talk about Sherlock Holmes in verses because he's
Sherlock
less iconic.
Holmes.
But I think he wins about as often as Batman does. Maybe less. I think Batman does have more martial arts, but that's not really what I'm talking about when I say they're the same character narratively. And
Narratively, they're pretty much the same character.
Sherlock Holmes is notably presented as at least competent at hand-to-hand fighting most of the time. And he's so smart he can outthink you, so he doesn't super need to be the best martial artist.
If anything, Sherlock Holmes might actually be better at the whole investigator thing than Batman, because Batman is a rich billionaire. Guess what? He's fucking Bruce Wayne. He's a billionaire. He has every fucking gadget imaginable. But Sherlock Holmes isn't quite as well off. Quite.
Sherlock Holmes could do the same damn thing with a...
Yes, he could do it with a spoon and, like,
with
the
a
spit in his mouth
glass
and, like, the
and
shit
a
in his
hanky.
ass.
Okay. I have to say, number one, Sherlock Holmes is an aristocrat in, like, I think it's 1800s London. So he is still upper class.
Yes, but he's
Number
not.
two, to defend Bruce Wayne just a little bit, because I feel like our boy in Bat Leathers does get a bit of unnecessary shit from people online.
Boy in Bat Leathers.
He has been stripped of every gadget and every advantage he has several times, and every time it's a really boring run of the comics because you think, oh no, he doesn't have his utility belt or his credit card. Is he going to get fucked in this situation? And the answer is no, because he's fucking Batman and he just kicks ass.
It's
You
Batman
could put him
Ninja.
naked in
Remember
a
that?
jungle, surrounded by alien species that don't share a language with him, and he'll identify which one is the psychopath, kill them, and become their chieftain.
Okay.
How do I know? Because that happened in the comics.
First off, those who know. Second, fucking bullshit. It's just bullshit. The line doesn't connect. At least with Sherlock, it makes more sense
Trevor,
that
have
he
you
would understand how to be scrappy in the situations he finds himself in.
Trevor, did you ever watch Batman Ninja?
No!
I did.
I did.
It's a really funny movie.
It's really horrible.
There's a moment where Batman T-poses and makes a mech out of bats that he's controlling psychically.
That's epic.
And
Okay,
then-
never mind. They are not the same. Sherlock Holmes does not have a bat suit.
Wasn't
like an
Robin
actual
turned into a
suit
monkey
made of
and then he
bats.
made a morph suit out of monkeys?
Yeah.
Okay, if
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes
also,
had...
Red Hood was there.
If
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes had an amorphous battle suit, what would it be made of?
Wit and tobacco smoke.
Okay, so he's Tobacco Man.
No, it's tweed and wit.
Could it be
Tweed
like?
and wit.
Could it be like
Twit.
smoking pipes? Could he be Pipe Man?
I don't feel like Sherlock Holmes has a mecha form the way Batman does out of bats, but I do feel like he'd be pretty funny as a Stan user.
Can someone
Stan is
animate this?
Watson.
I know we're not popular enough to make these kinds of requests, but can we get someone to animate Batman getting his bat suit made of actual bats just floating around him, and then fucking Sherlock Holmes has his Stan, which does...
It's Watson.
It's Watson, but it's made out of the same like blue smoke as the genie from Aladdin.
Exactly that. We need that. It needs to exist.
And he's doing like a JoJo Flex pose with like glistening muscles that like
Muckles.
break out of his like tweed jacket, and the pipe is producing the same smoke as Watson
No,
from
it's-
behind him.
It's coming from
This
the
feels
pipe.
like
The
feels
blue
like a
smoke's
fight
coming
that would
from the
come out
pipe.
of that like Shrek Inward Pass legacy animation
Probably.
series.
Probably. His stand name would be Elementary Watson.
Thanks, I hate
That one
it.
was terrible.
I was so on board with it, and now I hate it.
Well, you know, sometimes all it takes is a bad joke to make a funny topic uninteresting. Speaking of which, is Batman a bottom, Spence?
Yes,
This was your topic, so please defend.
Why would he be a bottom?
Why?
because
Wow!
Have you
wow!
seen-
Because
Wow! Those who know, I guess.
Stillwater, mango, mango, mango.
We're in the thick of it.
Fucking awesome, Spence.
have you seen him with Catwoman?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a really awkward sex scene where they touch each other's leather nipples in the comics. It's
Pretty hot.
weird.
It came...
I
Leather
don't like
nipples.
that.
Rub my
I don't like
nipples.
Cameraman.
Also,
The Batman said it's Batmaning time, and he's
also
Batman
he slept
everywhere.
with. Also, he slept with Batgirl, Barbara Gordon,
Oh,
oh.
I mean,
Thalia.
in all fairness, Barbara can get it.
I mean, so can Catgirl or Catwoman.
Well, yeah, but it was like weird. I mean, she can get it, but that scene was
Wait,
weird.
isn't back? Was she handicapped at the time, or was she not?
I think it was pre-Oracle, or maybe it was post her handicap.
This one's weird. Okay, what's the reasoning, Spence? Sorry, we interrupted.
Notorious ladies man, known for boning almost as many femme fatales as James Bond.
He can literally bench press 800 pounds.
Why is this obvious steroided out billionaire a bottom?
No, you're not gonna say it's because his parents are dead.
That was the...
I saw it. The fucking neurons in my brain, the Jimmy Neutron scene where his brain's bulging.
You had a brain blast, and your brain blast was dead parents equal bottom?
Yes! It's a trope.
What?
Yeah.
It's a trope in what?
Batman. I'm in the thick of it.
No! It's a trope. Batman, apparently. Okay. What? Actually, it's really hard to fight this because I understand.
I don't. I need you to explain this to me. Don't worry about fighting it. I need to know the logic.
Okay, so this doesn't come so much from the father being dead, but the mother being dead, because a lot of the times when people have their moms die, or at the very least they're absent from their life, they develop a mommy complex, and they need to latch onto a female.
They want a
that
dummy mommy.
Can provide for them the same way a mother would. In turn being submissive because it's a motherly figure that can take care of them. Batman seeks that motherly care through the women that he bones. That's the logic behind it.
Hear me out, though.
You're wrong.
Hear me out, though.
Now, the father
His father was also dead.
Okay, well, the father doesn't apply to his sexual actions. It applies to everything fucking else he does.
Wouldn't it apply to his sexual actions just as much?
His dad...
Not quite.
Is the reason for Batman. His mom is the reason for Bruce.
Okay, that's actually a pretty good way to put it. Look, I know we're not on the same page, but I get it, Spence. That actually makes a lot of sense.
I don't think he's a bottom because I don't think he was ever written with that intended, and we've seen him.
It's never intended, but it's implied.
It was never implied. You're operating on the same subtext that shippers use. There's the text, which is what's fucking in the comic. There's the subtext, which is what's implied in the comic. There's this hidden level under the subtext called copium-shipping.
Is there anything?
And you're operating
it's the shipper's surf.
You're operating the shipper's surf.
Is there anything in the text that says otherwise?
Yes. The several times we've seen him having non-bottom sex.
Bend over,
and the
mama.
0 times we've seen him having bottom sex.
Look, I'm not specifically saying that he's a bottom, and I think you're totally right, but the logic makes sense from what I've observed.
What's Catwoman's name?
Catwoman's name? I don't fucking remember. You think I'm a big DC fan?
I know his other exes are Talia and Barbara Gordon.
He definitely gets pegged by Talia.
Okay, Spence, okay. I could kind of see the logic of the last one because of what I've seen, but this... No, you were cooking, you had the food in the pan, and
then I just threw it into the fucking trash can.
You overhead slammed that shit in the dumpster, okay? He is not getting pegged. He is absolutely ramming the fucking cervix of every woman he encounters.
Spence.
I'm sorry.
Spence, he has a child with her. I don't think you can get that from being pegged.
No, because according to Spence's logic, his boy pussy got pregnant. By her girl cock.
She hid the child from him until the kid was like 8.
Mystery pregnancy.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Ask Spence, because I'm sure he can provide some form of a logic on this.
Spence?
As you would.
Care to provide some logic on this?
Yeah.
How do you explain Batman's literal children?
You see, when a mommy and daddy love each other very much...
Talia takes the ovipositor and she lays the eggs inside of Batman.
What?
And then he gives birth, according to you.
Batman's a seahorse.
Can we move on to the next topic? He's not a bottom. he's got mega top energy. Okay, if they wanted to write him that way, they would have. If the writing was more absent, I could see the point made prior kind of standing up. But it just doesn't make sense. He's too much of a Sigma.
Okay,
Shut
shut
the
the hell
fuck
your mouth.
Segway.
Okay, I wanted to talk about what makes a character iconic. Yes, Trevor?
Sorry, I'm still trying to, like, fade over into the new topic. What makes a character iconic? Mystery pregnancy!
Indeed. Indubitably.
Simply put.
I would just start off with saying they did something first.
Really?
Yep.
So being first makes a character iconic? What
Yes.
was the first anime to be translated into the U.S.?
Wasn't it Dragon Ball?
Nope. It actually came 30 years before Dragon Ball got translated.
30 years.
Yeah, it was Astro Boy.
Oh. Damn. Okay, continue.
Astro Boy is very iconic, but not as the first anime to make it to the West.
No.
He's also not the first robot superhero.
No.
They've been making robot superheroes since the 1920s.
Sherlock Holmes wasn't the first detective.
But he had this. But he was the first one to use his weird ass logic.
Look, I'm certainly not a
No.
history
and
buff,
structure in the book.
but, like, what about the first superhero ever conceptualized? That guy probably doesn't stick to memory well. Because Superman probably wasn't the first ever conceptualized, right?
It depends. If you want to really stretch the definition of superhero, you could probably say that the first one was
Talking like cape-wearing good guy.
probably.
Do you know
came
how
from
little that narrows it down?
Probably came from a
There's a lot of
Greek
them.
play.
And
So-
at that time,
Exactly,
Case
but this is probably some
Rotocus-
random motherfucker, right?
I mean, no, he was probably like I don't know, Hercules or some shit.
Odysseus.
Odysseus is post Trojan War.
Shut up, you know. Those who
Those
know.
who know.
It can't be
Counters
Odysseus.
at like 17 in this one, by the way.
Oh,
It
it's,
can't be
it's
Odysseus,
okay. It's
'cause
not Odysseus.
Odysseus-
It's Menelaus. Like the
It
pirate Sparta king.
It can't be Menelaus. Listen.
Oh, why not?
Greek heroes have three genres, okay? There's the first genre, is where the first stories came from. And it's very powerful humans conquering the wilderness, right? These are the like dudes who go out and they kill monsters and they get the girl and they bring her home, okay?
Shrek. That train you were riding just fucking went off a cliff. All I had to say was one word.
Hercules or Perseus, probably. But Shrek works too.
What about Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh wasn't Greek. He was
Well, Mesopotamian.
Mesopotamian.
Bless you.
But he was older than the Greeks.
Right, but I'm talking specifically Greek heroes. The genre of Greek heroes that followed the man versus nature Greek heroes came later, and they were the man versus society Greek heroes, which sometimes also involves Hercules. But other great heroes involve any time you hear a story about like Achilles or one of the Greek heroes fighting in the Trojan War, that qualifies. And then you have the returning heroes or the surviving heroes, which is where Odysseus comes from. That's why Odysseus, we have like some of the best records on his stories because they were written down.
I think actually trying to identify what makes iconic characters is really hard because the definition can be stretched in multiple different ways. Like, are minions iconic characters?
Ooh, that's an excellent
Because
question.
I don't think they have a lot of... How do I put this? They don't have a lot of actual characteristics other than the way they look and the banana shit.
And the way they talk.
But realistically, a lot of people really enjoy them.
Especially Facebook moms.
You know, like the three minions in the Minion movie. I forget their names because fuck that shit. But like
Kevin, Bob,
and
Stuart.
Ed, and Eddie.
So, I guess when asking what makes a character iconic, it is important to figure out which definition of iconic we're working with.
Yeah. Because there's a lot. Like, it's nuanced.
And when I asked the question, my thought was iconic meaning memorable and acting as an icon. So, like, this character is remembered by the most people for being the best at doing this. Sherlock Holmes is a great example, which is why it's related to our other topic. Odysseus is a great example.
I was thinking
Gandalf?
when you first said
Gandalf is a great example.
when you first said iconic characters, my first thought went to Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon.
Whoa, how'd that happen?
I don't know. It was just the first thing that popped in my head when he said iconic character. I'm like,
Here's the point I want to make. So Gandalf is a very layered character with many little quirks and nuances that make him really cool, really unique from just any generic ass wizard.
Right.
But what about the minions? The minions could be considered as iconic, if not more iconic, because moms and children.
So the definition of iconic we're working under doesn't necessarily imply popularity. It implies impact and meaning. So that's why asking if the minions are iconic is an interesting question, because then we have to deconstruct what impact and meaning mean and figure out if the meanings work into those definitions. So how impactful or meaningful the minions are is a great question to ask, and it's one that's
hard.
There's
a lot of layers to it.
There's kind of some nuance to it.
you know, to take us out of the serious topic for a second, that just reminds me of the time that for a promo for the Despicable Me 2, they swapped a recording of the stupid ass minion with the cones on its or the lights on its head saying "Beedo, Beedo," that shit, with 911. So whenever you dialed 911 on your phone, it would just play that and it wouldn't take you to 911. And they had lawsuits because there were people getting killed and dying, and all they could hear is
Dude, that's why they're so iconic. They got people killed. Yeah.
Okay.
I think like I don't remember. It was some service provider did it for a promo, and then immediately stopped because people died.
BT&T.
So,
anyways, differentiating minions iconic and
so to answer your
normal
question.
iconic.
So to answer your question, iconic is not synonyms with popular. Iconic means impactful and to some extent inspiring.
Yeah.
The minions do not provide an archetype for literary writers to continue to express in the future.
They can't quite be a pillar of storytelling.
Would you consider pop culture impact?
Yes. You know what is iconic?
What?
Pikachu. Pikachu is iconic in the sense that it's a character with a design so striking it's recognizable by
It stands out.
1/3 of the population. And what this means is that when you're creating a show like Despicable Me and you want these lovable mascots, you think about lovable mascots in the past.
What comes to mind? Pikachu.
And what you think about is Pikachu. And so you use that archetype to design your character. And that character is the minions.
So what you're saying is iconic characters, at least a major aspect of them, inspire other works of art to a massive degree.
It kind of creates an archetype in fiction.
Iconic characters are pioneers.
Not exactly pioneers, but just...
Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Incredibly recognizable and inspiring. So, minions are incredibly recognizable, and they probably will inspire things going forward, but I don't think they have... Like, the cultural impact they have is mostly disdain.
Yeah.
Delivered like a bludgeoning weapon.
I don't think you can have an iconic character last several generations or even several decades when the strongest emotion tied to them is disdain. Then again, it works that way for villains sometimes. So I guess if the minions passed into the public domain and they were used the way battle droids were used in the prequels, in just like movies and shows going forward,
just like Darth Vader, dude.
Darth Vader's an iconic.
Darth Vader's just straight up iconic.
Are battle droids in the public domain?
No.
I was about to say, it's like, they're not
Hell
that
no.
old.
No, I'm referring
they
to
ain't
like
let go of
there's
that yet.
just like a horde of minions encroaching like the battle droids do in the prequels, and people just kill them and don't feel bad like the battle droids in the prequels.
True.
This is some SFM shit.
There's a second definition of iconic, which is a character whose character arc is being better than the world around them. And the go-to example these days is usually Captain America, where they're the same person from start to end of the story, and them being able to be uncorrupted and not develop is the story. And that's the literary definition of iconic. So like an iconic character is someone who doesn't develop over the course of the story, and their refusal to develop is what makes them heroic or villainous.
So like Saitama.
Yeah, Saitama's iconic in that sense of the word.
So then would also Batman be considered that way, or are we going like all the way back to young Bruce Wayne?
It's kind of weird with Batman because of the way that his media is like structured, right? Because it's episodic.
Well,
everything
that
returns
and
to the status
it's
quo.
DC, and DC has rebooted their universe like 6 different times. Or is it 3?
It's kind of difficult to ascertain. He's certainly
So
iconic,
it's
but it's difficult to figure out
to put-
specifically
So is
put it
he
into-
character arc iconic or recognizable iconic?
recognizable
I would-
iconic.
yeah, I'd
Because
put it
he
more
he
recognizable.
doesn't really go through many character arcs outside of his origin story.
Is his refusal to kill an iconic refusal?
It's like Captain America's uncorruptibility.
Yeah, is that like an iconic arc?
That could be.
So is he a double iconic?
I think so. So we've discovered that both are essentially sliders, and they can both be high,
Yeah.
but one of them has to be high at least for it to be iconic.
Yes.
Well, I mean, listen, uncorrupted writing an iconic character arc doesn't mean your character is going to be considered iconic. It's just another definition of the word I wanted to bring up.
But
so
it could
that we're
certainly
not-
create characters in that fashion.
It can, but it can also just create a very forgettable character. Like, there are probably several Villain of the Weeks from He-Man that could be described as iconic in arc that no one remembers.
Yeah.
Because their refusal to be good meant they never came back on the show, and their action figures didn't
Nah, but
sell.
Skeletor, bro.
Yeah, He-Man!
So is Skeletor iconic?
I think Skeletor qualifies as the second definition of iconic, yeah. Skeletor's refusal to be a good person, despite He-Man giving him several opportunities to do so, and his inability to learn from his mistakes, making it almost like a Dr. Doofenshmirtz relationship with He-Man.
We're working with two yes-no elements. What about when it branches off and the character isn't like super recognizable and they don't have an arc that consistently stands out?
So don't mix those definitions. Do not mix those definitions. They're very different things.
I know they're different things.
Do you have an example?
I'm thinking of a character that isn't just it doesn't instantly stand out, but it's not a character that consistently carries a theme. They change throughout the show or the media they're presented in.
Invincible.
Invincible works.
Yeah, actually.
And
like
the
the side
finale
characters
just
in
came out.
Invincible.
Yeah.
Or Invincible and Invincible.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking. Although it was mainly because of the weird multiverse shenanigans that they've been getting into.
Yeah. It's weird. Invincible did multiverse better than Marvel.
Yeah.
Then
That's
again,
lame.
in 2009 or 2010, Phineas and Ferb did multiverses better than Marvel.
Everyone's done
That's-
multiverses better than Marvel, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, they had a Marvel Heroes crossover event.
Actually,
Oh my god.
No.
Oh,
And it was
Magic.
Oh.
Magic the Gathering.
Why you gotta do that?
They did it worse.
Did they?
Did they do it worse than Marvel?
Because now they got Final Fantasy and
And
Assassin's
SpongeBob.
No. Those are crossover events. Magic the Gathering has always had a multiverse, and I'd argue that until recently, it was more
It was
curated
pretty
and
gas.
better than Marvel.
It's been pretty
It's
bad.
just they kind of destroyed
Not
the
recently.
idea of
Help.
that, and now there's no multiverse.
We'll get into that at a different point. We can
There's
talk
the-
about
there's the
multiverse shenanigans
universe
at
of
a
a
later
month.
date.
I'd actually
right now.
love to dedicate an entire episode to talking about Magic the Gathering's canon and how it's on fire right now.
We could do that. Do you think we should wait for like a documentary episode or something? Or should we just...
Spence is doing the next documentary episode.
I mean, you're next up 44.
44.
I guess we could go
That-
over a
that
complete
is-
This is
lore-
29.
I guess we could go over a complete lore timeline, episode 44, if you want.
We could probably do a normal one.
Um,
But anyways.
Character iconic in the recognizable sense.
Mhm.
So, in the impactful and recognizable sense, Minions, I guess, don't qualify mostly because the impact they've had has been mostly disdainful, whereas Pikachu does because its impact has been mostly positive and inspiring rather than parasitic to like artistry as a whole.
It draws people in.
Yeah.
People actively like Pikachu, the way it's designed. It's just cute.
Yeah. And the minions are too, but the thing is, the way it's designed and the way that their humor works appeals only to young children and Facebook moms, which leaves a huge portion of the population, including anyone who'd care about it from an artistic sense, kind of despising the idea.
Do you think the stories each of them are found in affect that in any way?
I think it depends on the character.
Like
For our
Pikachu
two
being on
examples,
Ash's shoulder
I would say it does.
and going through their adventures in Johto and Kanto, all that, versus the minions being under Gru.
Trevor, that was 20 years ago. Johto and Kanto haven't been imported.
I'm not
to
acknowledging the
Pokemon
new shit,
in
okay?
several decades.
I'm not acknowledging the new
Stop.
shit, okay?
Stop.
I don't even know the name.
Stop.
I don't even know the name of the regions that Sword and Shield take place, that Scarlet and Violet take place.
I stopped.
Fuck, X and Y.
I stopped paying attention at Sinnoh.
Look,
boy.
Black and White was great. Fight me, that's a controversial opinion.
Black and White.
Apparently.
Black and White is better if you ignore the terrible Pokemon in it and box your starter immediately for literally anything else.
Nah,
Fuck.
last.
The starters in Black and White are so bad. You know what speedrunners do?
I know, they throw them away.
Speedrunners speedrun to the nearest Lillipup.
And yeah, so they can run Stoutland.
And
I know.
And a max level Stoutland carries them through the game.
Look, okay,
What's the
I
best?
grew up with Black and White. My boy Samurai will kick your ass.
Your boy Samurai
Has underwhelming stats. I know. But he's my boy.
Also, he's such a betrayal. Fucking, I liked Oshawott and...
Okay, yes, Oshawott and his final evolution and Empoleon are like...
Empoleon?
What? No, that's Piplup.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I'm talking about the Black and White starters.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I
evolves
flashed back to
into-
Sinnoh for a second.
Oshawott
Because-
evolves into...
Because
those who
Sinnoh
know-
is just the best.
Yeah.
Sinnoh's good, okay? Sinnoh's good.
Sinnoh
Black
was the
and
best.
White, I
That was the
grew up
last
with,
good
okay?
one.
Sinnoh wasn't the
This
best.
is really
Sinnoh
showing
wasn't
my...
the best, but it was the last good one.
Shut the fuck up! Black
Spence-
and White's good.
Spence, as an adult, I recommend you go and you try to play Black and White again. Box your
I
starter.
never played Box White. Or Black
I
and
recommend you just fucking play it.
Just
The
get a
starters
ROM.
are...
White. Yeah, sure. Let me go buy it.
The starters are okay
No,
within their own game.
Just get a ROM. I have a Nuzlocke of it on my
Look,
phone right
Superior is alright too.
now. It's not.
Okay, Embor is terrible.
Listen.
We all know that.
Embor is terrible, and the final stage of both the grass and the water type are underwhelming because the grass type, his final evolution is getting a little longer and losing his limbs, which is goofy all hell. And the weird collar thing he's doing feels very over-designed, especially when you compare it to the more simplistic and cleaner designs of previous Pokemon games. And Oshawott and Duat,
And then Samurott.
when they evolve into Samurott, it's like, it feels like you had this otter with like samurai shell things, and it's super cool. And then it evolves into this quadruped narwhal looking shit.
Well, it's meant to represent a sea lion.
Okay, but why is there an otter turning into a sea lion?
Well, first of all, Pokemon just does shit like that.
Yeah, it's Pokemon, bro.
Fucking a pine cone evolves into a grenade. Like, we have a fish shaped vaguely like a gun that evolves into an octopus that's shaped vaguely like a tank. Like, nothing has ever made sense when it comes to Pokemon evolutions. Remoraid evolves into
Literally think about
Octillery.
Cubone and Marowak. The skull gets bigger. It's their fucking dead mother. How does the skull get bigger when they evolve?
It doesn't. It gets smoother. It's smoothed down with time. The rough edges fall off. Marowak isn't any bigger than Cubone.
His head's bigger.
It's not.
What the shit?
It looks bigger
What
on
the shit,
it looks bigger on the sprite, but it's not any bigger.
All right, I'll concede that one.
Look,
You know what? This wasn't on our topic list. We should talk more about Pokemon at a different date too.
maybe if people are interested in it. I just want to say, Sea Lion Final Form could have totally worked, but the design was cute thing that throws shells instead of throwing stars.
You think instead it should have been like this big bipedal thing with like giant fucking Assassin's Creed blades for hands?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Where they had
But
those
look,
singular. What kind of hermit crab or snail has those really long pointy shells? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They're really thin and they go to a point. If he had those, that would be pretty tasty.
If we got water type Rylu, I think, or water type Lucario, I think everybody would have fucking loved Black and White much more than they did. But the thing is, the starter Pokemon didn't have a Charizard or a Blastoise to pick from. We had 3 over-designed freaking Digimon-looking ass, pieces of shit.
look, regardless of what you say, I grew up with it. That was my Pokemon game when I grew up, and I'm going to be biased towards it.
And I never want to take that away from you. I do want to tell you from a character design perspective and from, enjoying Pokemon games, it was a huge departure from what any fan of the series liked. And it was a bold and boring decision at the same time to make the starters both the weirdest looking and the worst in-game that they'd ever been at any point previously.
It's better than Sun and Moon.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that is
The bar was in hell. The bar was in hell and you walked over it.
No.
Good job.
Not to make a joke, but that's like day and night.
Those who know.
Those who know.
Anyway, shall we?
So we started with Batman and landed in Sinnoh. Sorry, Unova.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Trevor, you wanted to talk about luxury items, and then Spencer, you had a father pun after that.
Well, we'll get to that.
Look,
in this day and age, everyone's completely obsessed with the way they look. For some reason, people, almost to a self-destructing effect, care about their visage to other people. People will take out credit card debt to go buy Versace and Gucci bags, Supreme coats, the crowbars too.
Oh god, the fucking
Remember the crowbars?
thing,
Those
yes.
were epic.
No, they weren't. They were fucking crowbars. I got a rusty one in my toolbox.
We find ourselves in the weirdest of times.
You have a rusty Supreme crowbar in your toolbox?
No, I have a rusty crowbar.
Oh, okay. We should write Supreme on it.
Yeah, that'd be epic. Look, we find ourselves in the weirdest of times because 40 years ago, our parents had to save up to buy a TV for almost $2,000. You can get a 32-inch flat screen for $80 at Walmart.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, people can't afford to pay their monthly rent. Why is it that we live in a time where luxury is a common good and finding a simple place to call home is near impossible?
Because people are more obsessed with vanity than their own well-being.
No.
It's first of all, yes, that is the case. That has always been the case. Unless something revolutionary happens in humanity's brain chemistry as a whole, that will forever be the case.
People always want to make one another envious of themselves.
People have always cared more about how they present themselves than how their lifestyle actually is.
That's why we had aristocrats for literally ever.
As long as we've had writing, we can trace that level of vanity back. And it probably goes back into pre-civilization. I can't imagine that it's ever been different.
But, think about this. Those kinds of luxuries were reserved for people like lords, wealthy merchants, political figures. You and I could go get a credit card and just go buy the best designer stuff ever.
You could.
Yeah, we'd owe on it. And
could.
that's apparently okay according to American economics and behaviors.
Well,
I think you're conflating people going broke to buy consumer luxury goods and, actual luxury goods. We sort of live in a two-tiered economic system right now, where essentially there's the hyper-wealthy, and then there's everybody else. And the hyper-wealthy can afford to get, a Jaguar in every color, right?
Yeah.
of all things you could have went with, you went with fucking Jaguar.
They've got a plane for every different day of the week.
I had to think of something, Spence.
That was certainly a direction.
I remembered a story I heard about a Saudi merchant.
Jaguar. Are you talking about the car or the
Are you talking about
fucking
the guy
cat.
who bought Rolls Royces to be dumpsters?
No, he was like a Saudi oil prince or Saudi oil merchant, and he was...
Actually, yes. Wait, you're talking about the car, right? Because I remember this story.
Yeah.
He bought a car in every color.
And he paid to get them all shipped on a private jet to him individually.
And they sit in this, like, luxury warehouse, and that's it. He sometimes takes them out to parades. That's not even 1% of his net worth. My brother in Christ, I'm never going to afford a home.
Not with
Perhaps
that kind of...
that is pessimistic bias. But that's kind of how a lot of people feel nowadays, right? Do you think the copium is sort of fulfilled by them looking at luxury goods? It doesn't even have to be designer brands. It's like fancy things like a big-ass TV or, you know, a high-tier build PC or a new car with no miles on it, brand spanking new, $40,000 plus. And being like, well, this makes me feel better right now because it's something I own.
Honestly, yes. I would say that that's the exact thing. Because
Sure.
they can't... Okay, so hear me out. So, for things like houses, where we can't afford them right now, well, we, as us three, at least I can speak for myself, the temporary satisfaction and gratification of buying new things, such as a new TV, a new fancy shirt, new Supreme crowbar, or
Magic the Gathering card.
Magic the Gathering card,
Chains of
a
Mephistopheles.
new car with 0 miles. Like, the temporary gratification from those takes the edge off of the fact that you're not going to be able to afford the bigger things that you actually want.
I guess I did kind of string away from the original point I was trying to make, but that's certainly the other half of the spectrum. People do it out of desperation.
Well, listen, people have always spent money on stupid shit. As long as money's been around, we've had impulse buying. I think it's just everything feels worse now because we're the first generation in a first world country post World War II where we're getting a worse economy than our parents had.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot of qualifiers, but if you think about it, that's like if you go back in time at any point at any point just after World War II, the economy's been great.
Just better.
The economy's
better
been great. The economy's been great.
Maybe we had some dips, but that's how the stock market works.
We just had a tech boom. And then you go to like the 2008 housing crash and the 2018 economic recession and then the COVID years of 2019 to 20, whenever the hell they decided it ended because it was different in every state, not very well broadcasted when the lockdowns closed.
It's wild that was 5 years ago.
2 weeks to slow the spread, my guy.
Yeah, 2 weeks turned into 5 years.
Man, guys, this is so cool. We're getting 2 weeks out of school for free. 4 years later, I still can't buy anything.
I think it's just, it feels worse now because not only is there like a two-tiered system where the hyper-wealthy can afford the actual luxury goods and we have to get the, you know, the off-brand luxury goods, you know? We're going bankrupt to buy Supreme crowbars, but we're not wearing the, like, fucking runway dress with a ski mask on it.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, like actual rich people, they don't wear things like Supreme. Those brands pay them out so that they promote those kinds of brands.
You know,
and then people that want to act rich, quote unquote, which is the point I'm trying to make, buy that kind of stuff
that's
so they
actually
can
very
appear
funny.
rich.
That's a
because
very
that
funny point.
satisfies both their ego and their
Because the people
vanity.
the people who are rich and super rich, like you always see them in just regular t-shirts and pants. Like nothing usually branded. For the most part, there'll be plenty of times where you see them with branded stuff on, you know. But the majority of the time, they're usually in just normal t-shirts or polos or shirts just like that. Versus these people who are borderline broke in big branded expensive brands. I don't exactly...
Here, I'll put it this way. They
branded
either wear
brands.
the most normal clothes ever, or they're eloquent and they order some weird ass multi-million-dollar suit from this random like small business ownership in Italy that makes luxury goods. You know, they either buy from a brand that is rich that no one knows about because they don't promote it because they like it, or they just wear normal fucking clothes. They don't care about their vanity.
Good example. Adam Sandler. You see that boy in basketball shorts and just a regular t-shirt from Walmart. Like every other time you see him.
There was that time at the Grammys.
Didn't he wear basketball shorts to the Grammys?
He wore it was a cyan hoodie with orange, were they? I'm pretty sure they were like bright orange shorts.
Yeah, but listen, show business is an invite-only club, and Adam Sandler's been crashing that party. Like, he likes wearing obnoxious clothes
Casual
to big
shit.
events like that just because he knows it pisses snobs off.
Oh, it's so good. I love it.
He needs to host the Oscars one year.
That would be funny.
And then get slapped by Will Smith.
Yes! And then he could say, but I didn't even call your wife a baldy.
Oh my god.
I honestly think Will Smith would probably throw hands back if something like that happened.
Simply put,
Or not.
I would like to make the point
Not
that
Will
we
Smith,
find
Adam
ourselves
Sandler.
in a time where luxury items fill the void that is stable living. Luxury.
Yeah.
Luxury is a wide span of
I get
things.
you.
Things
I get
like, I don't know, the air fryer right there.
Yeah.
Or
We
TVs.
do live with wealth. Fucking Spence over here owns a crown full.
Do the Iron Man. meme.
Clearly, you do not own an air fryer.
Those who know.
Those who know. There are many benefits to being a marine biologist.
Especially
One of
the
them
dolphin
Jelly.
jelly.
is an air fryer.
Do not fry the
Dolphin jelly and air fryers.
That's disgusting.
That's the benefits to being a marine
Shut,
biologist.
shut the hell up.
Oh, it's crispy jelly now. I figured it out. I know why your apartment always smells like fish now, Spence.
Okay.
My apartment smells like fish?
Yeah, because of the dolphin jelly
Would
in the
anyone
air
else like
fryer.
to add to that point? I think I've made my point.
I think you've made your point.
We find ourselves in a very odd time.
There was a quote in a financial article in the New York Times, I think it was, and it was about how people our age are spending more money on quote-unquote luxury food items, where they'll get the more expensive option for something in a grocery store. Like, they'll buy organic one week if they can afford it. And the quote was, "My generation will never get to travel the world, but at least I can buy expensive pepper."
That is true. We can eat nice food.
Yeah. That's,
Look, it's better than starving.
we
We gotta look at the positives here.
Yeah.
Instead of starving and traveling the world, I get to eat nice pepper and
It-
sit inside my dungeon.
It could be hella worse. You could live in England.
Oh, you got a point.
They
You
don't
could
season
be-
their food here.
Oh
British.
God, they boil their meat. Anyway,
What are you talking about? Bangers and mash is great.
Imagine eating a bag of Cheetos and your head literally
You're a
exploding
banger.
because your genes deny you the ability to process those flavors because you're British.
British.
Can that stay in?
sure we can bully the British.
Listen,
We have pushed
listen,
away and
the British bullied everyone else first.
They bullied everyone else. It's only fitting.
look, okay.
We can bully the Italians, the French.
Bart had to make fun of Nelson every once in a while on the playground. Nelson is the British.
No, the British is the fucking principal buried under the playground. At least our country's in decline. The British Isles have been declined for a really long time.
they're down.
Fucking,
Speaking of which, advice to everyone: stock market's down right now as
oh
of time
god,
of recording.
we can't in Minecraft. We cannot legally offer financial
This
advice.
isn't financial advice. Dump literally all your money into the market.
Stop talking. Don't listen to him.
Complimentary Mania does not provide any sort of financial
Short the
advice.
Best Buy
Any-
stock.
Any risk that you take on the market is
You
strictly
know
your
what
own,
I mean.
and we take no financial responsibility in your own misguided deeds. Thank
Lawyer
you.
speak, lawyer speak, lawyer speak. He's joking, he's joking.
I'm making a joke. Short Best Buy stock. It will work.
Anyway,
Trust
shall-
me.
Trevor,
So
were you one of the Diamond Hands Best Buy guys?
No.
I mean
It wasn't.
GameStop guys.
Hell no.
Okay.
Spence is.
No, I wasn't.
He did sell at a loss.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would consider that diamond hand. No, you just
it was-
bought
it was
when it
called
was
paper
declining
hands.
anyway.
Anyway.
You just saw any
so,
amount of declining.
limp
Like,
hands.
Anyway, it was so we I think we've gone plenty off the rails long enough.
What?
So
I think that
rails?
subject's done.
I have
We've pulled the lever on the trolley. We're about to run over a few people. Let's go into the next topic.
the next topic.
We have a father pun.
Yes.
so
Daddy,
for
Daddy,
so for your
punish me, Daddy.
your delectation today.
Punish me.
What do you call a medieval spy?
Wet.
What do you call a medieval spy, Spence?
Surveillance.
Ba-dum-bum.
But I'm dumb.
I'm cerebral. Wait, no, I'm cerebral. Brain blast.
He's cerebral. I'm
Mantis.
Mantis.
And
And
we're
that's
on
a
a
podcast.
podcast.
Banana.
Thank you all and have a good
Those who
night.
know.
Those who know.